Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Going Over Big Time podcast. I am Mike Charlip, and today I am joined by the fantastic Alan and the Texas gentleman Tanner. Everybody's got a nickname but me. But we're here today to review AEW WrestleDream. It was one hell of a show, and I gotta say off the top that I there's a lot that I loved and not a lot that I didn't love. We'll start with Alan. What do you have to say about the show as a whole?
At first, I was slightly hesitant about AEW going beyond their 4 pay-per-views because I was of the mindset that they would eventually turn into like a WWE, one premium live event PPV every month, and it's like, what's the, um, you know, how are they relevant, right? But I think this was done very well. Pleasantly surprised at the solid variety of styles that we got to experience. Um, Conveniently taking place on the 1 year anniversary of the death of the legend Antonio Inoki. And this show was designed to be a tribute to, the founder of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Very heavy involvement with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but this was not booked as like a Forbidden Door style crossover where it was like a joint AEW New Japan. It was like it's a tribute to Antonio Inoki, but it also had its own distinctive AEW flavor to it. So much so that if they had taken out that beginning ceremony of honoring Inoki in the ring, you wouldn't have like noticed it was an Antonio Inoki tribute show. Unless you heard the commentators mention it or like some of the wrestlers do stuff in the ring. I thought the tribute to Inoki was a nice touch. I really cracked up at the end of the ceremony when they panned backstage to Christian Cage looking at the monitor, and then I'm realizing, oh, damn it. Inoki's grandsons are in there and their grandfather's dead. That's going to be a problem at some point.
Before we go over to Tanner, yes, as you mentioned, once the pre-show kicked off, Tony Khan was in the ring with Katsuyori Shibata, Rocky Romero, and Antonio Inoki's 2 grandsons. And they presented them with flowers, and they were all wearing scarves, just like Antonio Inoki. And it was a nice little tribute at the beginning to honor the legend. And yes, they panned to the back where Christian was watching it for some reason. Uh, Tanner, what do you have to say about the show as a whole?
I think Alan pretty much hit the nail on the head when he said that there was a little bit of trepidation, I guess, for me as well, a little bit of curiosity going into the show because, again, as Alan put it, there's not really anything that would make you sit back and go, oh, this is a joint New Japan AEW show, right? I mean, besides Shibata, Zack Sabre Jr., that's about it. But I think that they proved something very integral in that when we do have these partnerships like New Japan AEW, we don't always need to have Okada come over. We don't always need to have Tanahashi come over. We don't always need to have Naito come over, right? Shibata in of himself, he's a legend of New Japan Pro Wrestling, in my opinion. I think he's one of the greatest to ever do it. Zack Sabre Jr. had a amazing match tonight with Bryan Danielson, and of course Aussie Open showed out with FTR. So again, you don't need the supposed heavy hitters of New Japan Pro Wrestling, whether you consider them contemporary or of yesteryear. We don't need the heavy hitters at all times to pull off a fantastic show.
Yeah, I fully
and
agree.
I nearly forgot that Will Ospreay was on the card. That didn't cross my mind either. So
He-
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he kind of was in the background for most of what he had going on there. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree that this show just being a tribute show to a legend and not necessarily needing a full on New Japan crossover in it, I think that is reserved for Forbidden Door. And this is just something else that they can sprinkle in some New Japan because of the connection, which is fine because this show, literally from top to bottom, everything was great. Everything. Um, there was there it was so much fun. I had so much fun watching it the whole entire time, and I think I did see a lot of people online talking about how long the show was, but I never felt that watching this show. A lot of times I do feel it when it's like 5 hours long, like this was, but I just didn't this time because I was having such a good time.
Yeah,
there-
I mean, it's I was taking notes myself, and at some point I just stopped because I was like, I kind of want to enjoy the rest of the show. This is really good,
Uh-huh.
and it was just like very solidly done. And we were all expecting like the ending to end the way it did, but even still, I
Yes,
think we just really were surprised at how
and
good.
yes, and we will talk about that in detail as much as we can, and go from our opinions on all of that. So the show kicked off, the 0 hour kicked off with a mixed 8-person tag, which was very random. uh, there's some connection between the people in the match. It just felt like this came out of nowhere. So we had Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty of Shane Taylor Promotions teaming with Mercedes Martinez and Diamante to take on Keith Lee, Satoshi Kojima, Athena, and Billy Starks. So Shane Taylor and Keith Lee have that connection in the past of teaming in ROH. They've faced each other here a bunch of times. Lee Moriarty is the newest member of Shane Taylor Promotions because Big Bill's doing something, so he needed something else to do. And Mercedes Martinez and Diamante have kind of been feuding with Billy Starks and Athena. So you have all of that going on, and then you just sprinkle in some Kojima.
It's like, hi everyone, hello to my American fan base. Anyone got bread?
Yes.
Wait, I'm in a what? Okay, sure.
Excalibur tried to explain Bread Club to Jim Ross. He was not in on that, surprisingly.
Yeah, if you ever bring up any kind of like millennial or postmodern thought, Jim Ross just like he's just done. He doesn't have any concept of it.
They should make it a recurring thing. That's Jim Ross's new gimmick on the commentary table. The youngins try to explain to him current trends. Oh, what's that? I didn't do that in 1997. I don't remember that.
You goddamn crazy kids! Oh,
Fuck off!
fuck off!
So this match was actually pretty short. The women started the match off, and there was a lot of brawling to start off the match. Athena, just out of nowhere, just hits a Kreutz Wrath on Diamante for like just out of nowhere. Like, okay, I'll just start doing Kenny Omega moves, like, and they together with Billy Starks, they did a double suicide dives. Keith and Shane tag in. They body block each other, and they did the gimmick where the two big guys don't fall down thing. And then Moriarty tags in, and Keith just throws him around a bunch because smaller guy versus bigger guy. Kojima tags in, machine gun chops immediately to Moriarty, DDT, 2 count. The women run in after the pin attempt, and there's another brawl. And Starks does a bunch of super kicks to Diamante. Keith runs in and throws Taylor out. Athena hits the O-face on Moriarty. And then Lee hits his finisher, which I can't remember the name of. It's like a fireman's carry into a power slam.
It was called the Big Bang Catastrophe during his
That is
WWE
correct.
run.
I think he still calls it that. I just couldn't remember it. I just didn't write it down. And then Kojima followed that up with a big lariat for a 3 count.
Yes.
So this was literally, like, I'm pretty sure this was the shortest match of the entire show. I don't have the times up right now, but it was fun. It was fun for what it was. My biggest gripe with what they're doing with Athena is, why isn't she defending her belt? She's on this show. Defend her belt.
It was the second shortest match. The shortest match will turn out to be another match in the pre-show. You probably could guess. I'll give you a guess of which one that would be later.
Okay, yes, I know which one that is.
Yeah, but yeah, you have made this point before. Probably not more than once, and just not for this show. Yeah, it's like, they don't really know what to do with her during big match situations. So just throw her in a pre-show with 7 other people, and Tanner is like sinking into the ground here. I don't know.
I am. That's how I feel about this match. It has me sinking into the ground.
Yeah, I mean, she's coming up on a 1-year reign as champion, and
yes,
I will say this current thing she's doing with minion training and assigning fans random minion numbers is actually the most entertaining she's been. It's like, something clicked after Death Before Dishonor with that crazy match with Willow, which I really thought that Willow should have taken the ROH title at that point, but I digress. But if you're going to keep the title on her, make her defend it against a noteworthy person. Like Mercedes. Like, I don't know, Chris Statlander, but she's preoccupied at the moment.
Anybody that's not doing something?
Yeah, anybody that's not doing something. Yeah.
Well, I'm with Alan on this. I truly subscribe to the train of thought that we need to start merging some of these titles. We need to start unifying and really condensing down the number of belts that we have flying around all over the place.
Yeah, and we kind of don't know where the line is of, like, who's exclusive to ROH, who's exclusive to this. I mean, there's no quote-unquote brand split in AEW, but you have a lot of big-name AEW people winning ROH belts.
Yeah.
And they're not on ROH television at all.
No, it seems like they're perfectly content to blur the lines as much as humanly possible, except not reciprocate the other way to ROH. So, I mean, it's, do you keep the brand alive? Do you just keep it for, an extra TV show? Do you keep it for the library? What are we doing? I guess.
Well, it's basically the new Dark. We've talked about this before.
No, I know.
It's the new AEW Dark, and that's what they use it for. They have random jobbers run in to have matches with people who are signed, and they lose every time. And that's the show from top to bottom.
What a world.
So
I mean, I will say the backstage segments are actually some of the more entertaining that I've seen out of the whole AEW ROH universe. I mean, the stuff Samoa Joe basically imposing his will on Stokely halfway, that was funny. I mean, like I just mentioned before, Athena in her minion training basically kidnapping Lexi Nair, the backstage interviewer, and turning her into her number 2, and the thing with Billy Starks. I mean, I saw that video with them doing the training around the arena, incorporating just Shane Taylor's randomly standing in the back. I'm like, what are these chicks doing? And then her training them to boo Willow, and then when they actually pass by Willow, they start booing her. She's like, Why are you doing me? I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah, but there are some upsides. I mean, putting Ethan Page on there was, I think, an improvement because he was just going to get lost in the whole Rampage, Dynamite, Collision Shuffle at that point, and putting him somewhere where people could, focus on him for a little bit would probably help. Even though ROH is a streaming product on a service that you have to subscribe to if you are actively looking for it.
yeah.
I mean, in a perfect world, my solution would be like just to stop Rampage and just use that 1 hour time slot and do a Ring of Honor show on the Friday. If on TNT, right? That would be great.
That would make the most sense. So yeah, I guess we'll see how things play out with, I guess, everybody in this match except Kojima, who's probably going to go back to Japan. But the next match was like an appetizer for some of the other matches on the main card, and easily the best match on the 0 hour, and just this was me and Tanner's kind of match, I think. Like,
well, what's funny is so we're talking about Claudio Castagnoli versus Josh Barnett, right?
yes.
So I didn't see the match live, and so I'm begging Mike to try and describe this for all of us.
I'll give you the details that I have written down, but that's as far as I can go. So yes, Claudio put out an open challenge, and Josh Barnett was the one who answered. Josh Barnett is a student of Antonio Inoki and so many other big names, and a lot of Billy Robinson talk during this match and some others during the night because of Antonio Inoki. And that's another one of Josh Barnett's teachers. But yes, this match was a lot of. Well, first of all, Claudio came out to Wild Thing because Jon Moxley made his entrance here.
Great.
So they came out together, and Moxley did commentary for all of the BCC matches throughout the night, and got fined a lot.
Just to be clear, Mike said he got fined. He wasn't saying Moxley was fine. Moxley was very good. He was great on commentary. He just got fined.
No, he was great.
Yeah,
he was absolutely
great.
He was amazing on commentary.
He got fined several thousands of dollars for words you're not supposed to use.
Yes. And he tried to cover the mic with his hand, but didn't realize that it still comes through on the hot mics that are next to him. So it's just hilarious. But yes, Jon Moxley, amazing on commentary throughout the night when he was there. There was a lot of chain wrestling, as you would expect, to start off this match. And Barnett, of course, using a lot of the MMA influence and doing big slams and, like back, what's the word? Belly to back
suplexes?
Holds, suplexes, yes. They were trading holds on the ground for a long time. Double wrist locks into crucifixes, into hammer and anvil elbows. Barnett is fighting out of it and hits a nasty dragon screw. We saw a lot of nasty dragon screws tonight on the show. This was just the beginning of those. They're back on a stand up, and Barnett is hitting inside leg kicks that Claudio just doesn't see coming every single time. And because I don't think he was prepared to get some like MMA in there. But Claudio finds an opening and hits two big uppercuts. There was also a lot of abdominal stretches throughout the night, also an Antonio Inoki special. And oh wait, I lost my spot. area. Okay. They a lot of strikes, knee strikes, Muay Thai knee strikes, um, big kick by Claudio after the counter, 2 count. Barnett hits a great belly to belly suplex. Um, gets another near fall. Claudio fights out of it, hits the big swing, and then goes right into a heel hook, which Barnett gets out of. Claudio then locks in an octopus hold and turns it into a crucifix pin to secure the victory. So this was, of course, not as long as we would have liked because it was on the 0 hour, but it was a lot of fun, and I think this was unscripted. Josh Barnett gets on the mic after the match and basically says, "So people told me about you, Claudio, and I was not knowing what to expect coming in here, and knowing Antonio Inoki like I did, I am pretty sure that he would have loved you, and that I can't wait to get in the ring with you again. And everybody who has said stuff about you is correct. And and you're not going to know when, but I am going to come back, and I am going to face you again." And Claudio basically responded and said, "Anytime, any place." And they hugged, and he raised Josh Barnett's hand, and yeah, it was a nice little moment there. A great match, and Moxley with a lot of insight on the match throughout. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, considering that Josh Barnett is one of John Moxley's sparring partners, he trains with him, and that
Yes,
I like the way
Moxley mentioned that.
I like the way they panned over while Josh was speaking, and like JR's looking over his notes as if to let us know, yeah, this is unscripted because it's not in
Yeah,
the script.
yeah, yeah. It felt like they probably had to cut some time from the coming up matches because of this. But I don't know that for sure. But yeah. So I highly recommend that Tanner go and watch this match.
Oh, I might just have to do that.
Yeah. Because yeah, it was so much fun, and I like seeing Josh Barnett mix it up, and in this, I mean, he's always been in the wrestling scene. He just doesn't wrestle as much as he grapples and does catch can stuff, and but when he does wrestle, he always performs amazingly, and it's not surprising. Um, he always puts on that blood sport show during the collective, and big weekends for GCW and stuff, and those are always good. And he always has the main event because he's quote unquote promoting it.
Yeah, and
So
hey, Claudio said anytime, any place, right? So it doesn't have to be an AEW ring.
that is correct.
Could be Bloodsport number whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what number we're up to.
15.
But, yeah, but yeah. So I look forward to seeing them face off again. The next match is the aforementioned shortest match of the show. It's Luchasaurus versus Nick Wayne. To no surprise, Luchasaurus was in control for like 95% of this. Luchasaurus takes control early and does this crazy looking release German suplex that literally folds Nick Wayne up like an accordion. Like, I mean, he's so tiny and Luchasaurus is so big that it's like that man should not be doing that to that little person. He's only 18, Luchasaurus. But yeah, some strikes in the corner, another throw. I think it was like a choke toss. Luchasaurus goes for a choke slam, and Nick flips out of it, hits a bunch of kicks to the leg, and then goes off the ropes. But Luchasaurus basically runs him over with a shoulder block. Luchasaurus hits a choke slam over the top rope and onto the apron. It looked nasty. And of course, Nick Wayne's mom was in the front row.
Mrs. Wayne will be prominently featured throughout the rest of the show, and up to the main event.
This is true.
Yes, back to that spot, the choke slam onto the edge of the ring. That was nasty.
It sounded nasty.
Yeah. Sign of things that come in the main event too.
Yes. The ref does a count out as Nick is like crawling towards his mom, and Luchasaurus grabs Nick and basically gets him into a Cazadora position, and then just swings his head into the barricade. Right in front of his mother.
I don't know why I thought Nick Wayne had a fighting chance here, just because he's from Seattle. Because, like, obviously, like, other than like the one guy from Seattle, which we'll talk later, that won his match, but other than that, it was like, I don't know why I thought this poor kid was gonna have a chance against his monster.
So then he picks him back up and chokes him in front of his mother, and then hits a throat thrust, and Nick's mom is screaming, of course, because her son is getting beat up. And Nick fights back a little in the ring, hits a moonsault to Luchasaurus while he's standing, hits a super kick. Nick gets reversed, and Luchasaurus hits a big clothesline to the back of his head to secure the victory. So this match was exactly what I expected it to be. And I will talk about, when we get to the main event, what I like, the ramifications of this match, because there is it's a little odd, but again, I'll get to that when we get to the main event. I thought this was fine for what it was, because it was just a big guy beating up a little guy in front of his mother.
Yeah, I will say it to me it's kind of odd learning about Mrs. Wayne, that she's kind of playing this whole damsel in distress character throughout this whole show, when she inherited the Buddy Wayne Wrestling Academy, so she's the owner of that facility, and she's a professional. Like she works on her, like she is a self-sustaining person. Like she has her own living. Like she's not like some flower that needs like a man. Like, you know, the way that playing this whole narrative, like, like and obviously you see why Christian Cage would be hitting on her, like who wouldn't be? But still, this whole
she's
like,
very attractive.
Yeah, she's very attractive, and she's very successful. So it's like, and her son is not just some lightweight. He's been wrestling since he was like out of his diapers. So come on.
Yes, he's just very skinny.
Yeah, it just looks like your it just looks like, if you're a dad with a teenage daughter, looks like your teenage daughter's boy crush, looking like he's getting his ass whooped by Tyrannosaurus Rex.
He looks like a guy that just graduated high school who became a wrestler.
Yeah, it's like, wait, you can do that?
Which is exactly what he is.
Yeah, exactly. What an inspiration to high school kids across America.
Yeah, him and Billy Starks together.
Yeah, hey, graduate high school, get your ass kicked.
Well, she won. He did not. So the next match is for the AEW Trios Championship, and it's the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, or Daddy Ass as he's called, taking on the amazing team of TMDK, Shane Haste, Mikey Nichols, and Bad Dude Tito. The Acclaim,
Shane
But he did-
Hayes is an absolute treasure in this
Yes.
faction. The very fact they put this man behind a hockey mask in WWE is just a crime and muted him essentially. Like this
Yes.
man oozes charisma. Like
Yes.
you looked on Collision in his promo, he was just like, "Oh yeah, you guys rap? I can rap too." And he does.
Yes.
He's asking Mikey, his partner, Mikey
He-
Nichols.
He dressed like Lloyd Christmas in an orange suit at the G1. And he wore the hat throughout the tournament, like for his entrance. But Max Caster,
Oh my god!
of course, does his rap to talk about his opponents, and he mentions how they watch tentacle porn, and Shane Hayes did not deny this, which is not surprising.
Hey man, I'm in Japan. You gotta do what
Yeah.
when in Rome. You know?
So that was hilarious. The match starts off. Caster and Hayes start off, trade a bunch of shots out of tie up. Billy Gunn tags in, and Shane Hayes wants to do a test of strength, but he's like making faces the whole time. And Billy Gunn basically just knocks him down with one punch. And then Hayes goes off the ropes and tries to do an arm drag, but Billy Gunn is too strong for him. So he just can't get Billy Gunn over to do the arm drag. And they fight it off, and Mikey Nichols runs in. Brawl breaks out, and then Mikey Nichols suffers the scissor me timbers. Bowens goes off the ropes and is tripped by Mikey Nichols outside later on, and then slams his face on the apron. Tito tags in and takes control and hits a suplex on Bowens, and double back elbows and spin cycle combination, a fist drop and a standing senton by Hayes and Nichols. So Nichols tags in, and TMDK is spending a lot of time cutting off the ring, preventing Bowens from getting a tag. And Haste hits a big kick to the back of Bowens, and Billy Gunn finally gets the hot tag and throws everybody out except for Tito, who goes for the Famouser, but Tito fights out with a kick and a suplex for a 2 count. The Acclaimed are in all together, and TMDK gets take them out for a moment, and big power slam cannonball combo by TMDK. It was pretty cool because Mikey Nichols did like a running power slam, and then stayed on the ground, and then Shane Hayes jumped off of his back to do the cannonball in the corner. So that was a nice spot. Eventually, the Acclaimed would take control again, and they would essentially just hit all of their moves on Tito. Famouser, followed by the Arrival, followed by the mic drop, and the Acclaimed retain. So I thought this was a fun match. It was exactly what I expected. I never expected TMDK to win, but just thought it was a lot of fun for what it was. It was an acclaimed Collision match. That's what it was, and it probably could have been on Collision instead of on this show.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I heard. I mean, I didn't mind it. I mean, they wanted to throw in something for the pay-per-view, so they wanted a New Japan crossover, and TMDK, their boy Zack Sabre Jr. was gonna have one of the main matches later on the card. So
yeah,
why not feature these guys on a pay-per-view stage? Right? I mean, like I mentioned, Shane Hayes, like this guy, I don't know, like as soon as he, they just like all this man who's just oozing like this like charisma and just I mean putting him on putting him on Collision would have been okay either, but I didn't really have any issue with whether this match was on Collision or on the pay-per-view pre-show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fine for what it was. And yeah, the Acclaim retain. I gotta see the Acclaim get into like a big feud now. Because after House of Black, it kind of feels like they've just been opponent of the week, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like these trios titles are having the same issue as the standard women's tag team titles, no matter which promotion they're in. It's like you have either just the champions, and then the one team that just kind of forms out of nowhere. Like when they started, they had a bunch of people who are trios, and fans made graphics of like, here's all the people who are like a 3-man team right now.
Well, that's the thing. There's so many groups that could have feuds,
like,
and they're just not.
Yeah, they just had the Dark Order, but the Dark Order, they just had their match. I'm very confused about Righteous, because I don't know where Stu Grayson went, because he re-signed with the company and now he's disappeared all over again. I don't know if it's just an injury he's dealing with or what. I mean, I don't know. FTR originally, they were gonna, have their buddy CM Punk stick around. I thought you would get CM FTR, but that's not happening anymore.
Now they have a new friend.
Yeah, they maybe they become rated FTR, so who the hell knows, right?
Yes.
We'll talk about that later. But there's like, I mean, you have Ring of Honor where you like have all these like 6-man tag team matches, like, I'll just put one of them up once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, they do want to do like trios matches. It's just like, they put the Ring of Honor 6-man belts on their EVPs plus your former world champion. So they want to get some eyeballs paying attention to that division. So when is that? Who knows?
So I hope that they figure that out. And I mean, we've been saying this for so long. So I hope, I really hope that there is some change there. Tanner, you have anything on this topic before we move on?
Just kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier in the show. We about
the same problem as the ROH women's title.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are belts that need to be unified, and I think even more so, you've got the 6-man ROH titles, and you've got the 6-man AEW titles. It's just,
and those are also on somebody on the AEW roster.
So are the ROH tag team titles, which we're about to get to right now, I think.
That is correct. The next match, the first match on the main card, was a handicap match for the ROH World Tag Team Championships, as Adam Cole unfortunately shattered his ankle at Grand Slam, and is going to be out for quite some time. So MJF refused to relinquish and decided that he will defend these belts by himself whenever it is time to defend these belts. And the first challengers were the Righteous, who won a fatal 4-way to get here. And this match was so much fun because MJF is just so good at what he does.
Yeah. Let's allude to some of the stuff that had been developed. So yes, Adam Cole unfortunately suffered an ankle injury, will require surgery, as far as we know. But who knows what the hell is going to happen? I am very curious about like what the conclusion of this thing is. We saw last week in Dynamite at the conclusion that a bunch of random dudes in black assaulted Jay White of Bullet Club Gold, and their leader appears to be somebody who is wearing MJF's devil mask. MJF is going, some idiot stole my devil mask from my locker room. So he's saying it's not him. Meanwhile, you got the Righteous Vincent doing these vignettes of like, he's has these like paper dolls cut up. One is called the devil or the loser, and then
Mhm.
The other is the liar, who's alluding to Adam. And if you saw the Righteous's ring entrance for this match, Vincent is on crutches, and then he throws away the crutches to saying, "It was a fake. I'm not really hurt."
Yes.
Alluding to what he's trying to allude is Adam is not really injured, and
Uh-huh.
who the hell knows? Okay, but that is like almost another podcast episode. But yes,
Yes.
the whole thing about this handicap match was MJF comes out and he gives a promo. First of all, he says, "Hey, fat boy, Dutch, I'm gonna body slam you," and that
Mhm.
was the pop because MJF's whole thing during his babyface run is doing the most simplest moves and getting them over. So he's saying, "I'm gonna body slam you like Hogan body slammed Andre at WrestleMania 3," and then he says to Vincent, "I'm gonna drag you by your dreadlocks and shove you up Dutch's ass," which is
Yes.
basically what he said.
Yes.
Um,
And whenever
Easier
MJF
said than done,
promises
but go
something,
on. Yeah.
whenever MJF promises something, he always makes it happen.
Yes. So, and we're like,
Always.
oh boy, this is gonna happen.
Yes. So, yes, that all happened at the beginning, and MJF tried to do the sportsmanship thing at the beginning. He's like, "Oh, this is ROH, right? Sportsmanship," and it's the sportsmanship chant, and extends the hand and shakes Dutch's hand, and then immediately pokes him in the eye.
Yeah, because he's their scumbag. He's still a
Yes,
scumbag. He's just
he's a scumbag, but he's
he's
also our scumbag.
yes.
Yes. So they go into a headlock, takedown. MJF pulls Vincent in and goes to toss Vincent into Dutch, as we mentioned earlier. But they turn it around into a clothesline by Dutch onto MJF. The Righteous take control and tag in and out, hitting moves on Max. Bossman slam by Dutch for a 2 count. Acid drop by Vincent for another 2 count. Vincent goes to use a chair on the ankle like he did on Rampage the other night. Or was it Collision? It was when they were facing Judas Icarus. That's a name of a person. And
Any relation to Judas Macias?
I
No,
don't think so.
he is
Middle East.
in the Canadian independent wrestling scene. I
Yes,
do
yes, he
that
is. But
name.
regardless, this is
Yeah.
when this happened. So he tries to use the wooden plank in between the ankles and then do the chair spot like he did in that match. And MJF gets out of it. The ref sees it coming, throws the chair away. Dutch is distracting the ref, and MJF gets a testicle claw on Vincent.
That's what that is. I saw the picture around the socials, and I was
Yes.
like, "What is he doing? And why is Vincent in that thing?" I think you missed a very, very crucial thing. At one point, MJF goes to his corner and tries to tag,
Well,
and this is like,
I think I missed that part.
oh, yeah, no, I caught it. He goes up
Yeah.
and he looks up and he's like, oh, and I was like, oh, because he's
Yeah,
not.
I think I might have looked away during that.
No,
Shit.
that happened.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So the ref turns around, sees what's going on, surprise roll up 2 count by MJF. Vincent goes for another acid drop. MJF moves. MJF hits the 10 headshots into the turnbuckle, then the 9 punches, and then the bite. That's become a new staple for him that he seems to do in every match, which is over like everything else he does. He continues to fight them off, does the spot that he promised, body slams Dutch, and then picks him up and throws him into the corner, and then throws Vincent into Dutch's ass. And then he does the kangaroo kick to both of them, knocking Vincent out of the ring. And then he hits the heat seeker on Dutch to secure the victory.
Oh, you've got to mention one thing. He hits the heat seeker, does the pin, and still puts his legs on the ropes. Even
Oh
though
yes,
he didn't
yes,
need
the
to.
ropes. That's right.
Even though he didn't need to.
And as he does it,
As he does it,
Bryce counts the 3, and then as he turns to look, MJF gets his feet off the ropes, and he looks at him like this. But he, like, so yes, that I remember that. Part
if MJF didn't do his old baby face shtick now, Bryce would have been way more aggressive and like,
of course.
Did you put your foot on the ropes? Did you put your foot on the ropes? No. Did you put it on the ropes? I'm not. Are you sure? Sure. I'm gonna restart the match.
I do feel like if he did do that more frequently, like if they still maintain these little freakouts with the referees, I think that would just add so much more.
Yes. So going into off of this match, I think we're not going to see the ROH tag titles a lot. Because if they're not going to take them off of MJF, then they're just not going to get defended as frequently, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be weird. Like he's just gonna be holding all. It's like they talk about the modern day Triple Crown. That's been alluded to for the next match we're gonna talk about. But
yes,
yeah, MJF is the ROH World Tag Team Champions, but he's holding both belts and he's also the World Champion. So it's like, is he gonna defend these? Like, he's already complaining that he had to wrestle more than once a month. Or even once every 6 months. So
yes, he did mention in the scrum that he is hurting, like for like the first time in his life because he's wrestling so frequently.
Right. Yeah. Hey. Turns to 10 other guys in the back. Yeah, buddy. Welcome to the club.
Yes. But yeah, and I mean, of course, the world title is going to take the focus now, because of the aforementioned Jay White promo and mystery of who attacked him.
Attackers.
Yes. So that's going to be front and center, and these tag titles are just going to take a back seat. So MJF claims he's going to hold on to them as long as he can and wait for Adam Cole to come back. But Adam Cole is going to miss like a good 6 months. If that, it might even be longer.
If let's just suspend everything else and just believe, yes, unfortunately he's injured, but
is he really?
Yeah, and look, I will happily be played along if this happens to be true. If this turns out to be completely
because
it'll be the biggest
also yeah. Britt Baker posted a picture of an ankle.
Yeah, an ankle. And an X-ray.
Could be anybody's.
Conveniently a photo of Adam with a doctor or someone.
Yes. And
in a cast.
It was reported today, the day after the show, that Britt Baker's taking time off. So, is this for that? Is this for something else? Is that a ruse?
It is gonna be probably. I'm very intrigued. Like this might be the thing that's going to intrigue me for the rest of this year, going into 2024, if they stretch it out this long. Like, who are these mystery attackers? Who is this guy in the devil mask? Like the guy that did that clip in the devil mask is not necessarily the person that they're going to reveal later who it is.
Yeah.
But
also, is it exclusive to the? As you mentioned, like, is it exclusive to the Jay White feud? Is it just a thing that's happening right now because Adam Cole is out? Because the Jay White feud is probably going to last till Full Gear. Which is November. So yeah, it could be connected. It could not be, but yeah, I guess we'll see.
I mean, the only downside is like you built up this group, Bullet Club Gold. Like they do all this comedy stuff is really entertaining, but when it came down to the most important part, defending your leader. They were nowhere to be seen. I was like, where are these guys?
Yes.
Where's the Bang Bang Gang? And the Bang Bang Gang wasn't banging that night. It was like they were disappeared.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are
anyway,
not going to acknowledge
continuous.
that.
Yeah.
Tanner, what did you think of this match and the aforementioned things going on before we go to the next match?
Sure. I thought the match was was really well done. It just continues to show that and I again would have not seen myself saying this a year ago, but I mean, MJF has gone from strength to strength in this run, and the fact that he successfully went babyface ratcheted that up even more. He's got the crowd behind him. They're buying everything that he does. He continues to just look better and smoother in the ring. Yeah, he's just been fantastic. He's on the run of a lifetime right now. So I have no qualms about this match. Is it a great handicap match? Maybe. I don't know what a great handicap match is, but if there is one, MJF pulled this off spectacularly.
Yeah, I loved every moment of this match, and MJF is so good at what he does, and yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to happen with him and Jay White, because that match is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So the next match on the show was for the ROH World and New Japan Open Weight Championships. Eddie Kingston defending both of his belts against the legend, the wrestler, Katsuyori Shibata. So this match was, again, kind of exactly what I was expecting. A lot of striking, a lot of back and forth moves, trading of suplexes, trading of chops. There was a lot of chops in this match, like a lot of chops. And Eddie Kingston, he was taking him like a champ, because every time he would get chopped, he would, I think he would want to fall down, like that's what it looked like to me.
Mm.
But yeah, there was a lot of trading of submissions, a lot of trading of strikes, and yeah, we're trying to condense the details here, but basically they were trading corner moves like kicks and clotheslines, and Eddie hit a big exploder. Shibata fights out and hits some Kawada kicks that rock Kingston. Kingston fights back. Shibata hits a leg trip into an abdominal stretch to the ground, and Eddie fights out of that. More strikes. Eddie hits a spinning back fist. It was a 1 count, and then a Northern Lights bomb for a 2 count, and then back on their feet, Kingston hits another spinning back fist, the Hurricane as it's called, and then hits the power bomb that he's now doing as a finish, and retains. They show respect after the match, bow to each other, and then Eddie Kingston leaves the ring and lets Shibata soak in the ovation.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this match was, again, just another match for me and Tanner.
Yeah, it's a spectacular match, and like I said, Shibata's one of my all-time favorites. Eddie Kingston obviously is the man, right? Like another guy who's been on the run of a lifetime since joining AEW, Eddie Kingston. I do find that watching Shibata now, obviously extremely uncomfortable knowing everything that we know that man's been through, and then knowing that he is opposite the side of the ring of a gentleman who loves to do a spinning back fist. Absolutely loves a spinning back fist.
Yes.
So I do get worried for Shibata, in those kind of maneuvers. But it looks as though Eddie took very good care of him. He
Absolutely.
wasn't swinging for the head, which is something I'm very thankful of.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, it was again just a very well done match, and it's especially helpful when Eddie has a partner on the other side of the ring who is I guess who is as familiar with the people that Eddie idolized as he is, right?
Yes.
So in a nutshell, is this for me? It's a very different match from the Claudio match that
Oh
Eddie
yeah.
just came off of, but still, I would say equal in terms of quality. Very good match.
Also, I like that commentary acknowledged that this was kind of like a clash of styles because of
Mm,
how Eddie Kingston is more influenced by All Japan
right, the
as
King's
opposed
Road style.
The King's Road style.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Alan, what did you think of this match?
I mean, another great match, Eddie Kingston. Like, I mean, I love this run he's on. I mean, I just, every time like his music comes up, I was just imagining him like looking up and facing down his like all these like legends that he idolizes, like Inoki and Giant Baba, Masawa, and just like I still look back at that match he had with Jun Akiyama at Full Gear. I think
Mm-hmm.
was it last year or yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was last
I,
year.
I
And it
believe
was
so.
just like the man's emotional state at that point was like people say, oh, if he retired right then, I think he'd be happy. But I mean, that's just
Mm-hmm.
if the fan of me talking. I was like, there's more to this. I mean, the fact that like he finally got closure with Claudio in New York when you were there, Mike. I
Mm-hmm.
think that really just like he finished his story, alluding to another issue somewhere
It
else.
only took 11 years, and he did it before Cody.
Yeah, he did it before the guy who kept saying he needed to finish his story. But yeah, here's another story that's gonna just unfolding. It's like who's next? Who's after Akiyama? Who's after so and so? And like it's like Shibata,
Yeah.
one of Inoki's students, and like who like one of Inoki's mentees, I guess. And it's like, who's next? I mean, Moxley did this whole thing like fighting everybody in Japan when he first started AEW. So maybe it's like Eddie Kingston's time to do that.
And Kingston getting that G1 this year was so much fun because you could tell he was having a blast in there. Um, and yeah, I want to see what he's going to do now with both of these belts. And I mean, he's going to continue working both New Japan and ROH. It seems because he's going to RingQuest on October 14th in the UK.
Is
So
he?
yeah,
Okay. Because I heard he had to duck out of some other indie commitments because of
yes, I believe he's in a multi-man match on the RingQuest.
oh,
Uh,
okay.
I believe it's on the 14th. I don't remember the date off the top of my head. All I know is that Osprey and Zack Sabre Jr. are facing each other on that show, and I can't wait.
No, great.
Um, but yeah, great match, and that led us into the next match, which didn't really surprise me. I think a lot of people really, really enjoyed this match, but the people in it are just really good at what they do. Uh, it's the TBS Championship match. Chris Statlander defending against Julia Hart. Um, this match, it got a standing ovation. That's how good this match was. These two were going at it back and forth throughout, hitting great moves, strikes. Julia Hart, from the time she entered AEW to now, has turned into not only one of the best women's characters, but one of the best women's workers. because she has really made this character her own, even if it is an offshoot of Malachi Black. She's made it her own in that her mannerisms are different than Malachi. Her the way she plays this character as like very stoic, as opposed to his very like you know his his style, and like more like uh I can't even think of the word, but it's different. It's she's great. She's killing it.
Yeah.
Um
It's kind of like, comparing playing Super Smash Bros. And being Samus, like, in the suit, and Samus out of the suit. Very different characters.
S tier reference.
Thank you.
But yeah, I thought that this match was great. They were absolutely killing it with strikes and slams and stuff. And one of my new favorite things that Julia does is the spider superplex. I love it. It's so cool the way, and because she's so, I mean, she's so young and so agile, so she's able to pull these things off fluently. I believe she's only 22, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, a lot of trading of strikes and moves. Julia took the upper hand late in the match with a power slam. After Julia, no, Stat hit a power slam after Julia like jumped at her with for a crossbody, I believe, and Julia rolls out after after kicking out of a blue thunder bomb, and Chris is like on the ropes, like, and Brody Lee is just like in her face. Brody King, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna do that. Brody King is like in her face, just like yelling at her, and Julia, of course, gets back in the ring and she goes for the mist spot. She went outside the ring to set up the mist spot. Yeah. She had to put the pod in her mouth and all that.
Yeah.
She goes for the mist spot, and Julia sees it coming and like slaps her as she goes to do it.
Right, Statlander slaps her as soon as she's. It was a perfect like deflection, right? As soon as she goes to the spray, she slaps her in the face and just goes right off to the side. And
and then hits a Michinoku driver for a near fall. And then Chris goes for a dive, but Julia gets back up, and this is where she hits that spider superplex.
Yeah.
And then hits that beautiful looking moonsault that she does, and almost gets the victory, but is like overzealous in like the leg hooking, and
she got her foot on the ropes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. Statlander got her foot on the ropes
because she was like too strong on lifting the legs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I remember now. Yeah, she hooked the leg to the point where it was too close to the ropes.
Yes. So then there was a kick out, and Julia goes for the heartless submission, but Chris powers out of it and then turns it into a tombstone.
Yeah.
And then holds on to it, and then she does her finisher, the Saturday Night Fever, which is the underhook tombstone, and gets the victory. Crowd absolutely lost it for this match. And yeah, it was so much fun. They absolutely killed it. Julia Hart is, in my opinion, if she wasn't already, is made after this match.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. I actually see a lot of similarities between this match and the one that Tony Storm had with Saraya a couple weeks ago at Grand Slam. There just seems to be a lot of outpouring for the challenger, which is good. It does make the champ look stronger, but it effectively got another babyface in the mix, and that's never a bad thing when it comes to AEW.
Yeah, I will say that comparing, like, just to the one time I'll compare two shows, NXT No Mercy. Even though Tiffany Stratton lost that rematch for the NXT Women's title, nobody really lost that match. She like carried that match throughout the that whole war with Becky Lynch, and I think we can say the same for Julia Hart in this TBS title match with Chris Statlander. I mean, Chris, they retained, both champions retained their titles. You've got two future female stars that really proved themselves and are going to be looking at probably bigger and better things going forward.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I want to see what's going to be next for Stat. I hope she has a lengthy feud coming. And yeah, Julia's just going to keep getting better. And she's going to win one of those titles eventually down the line for sure. So the next match is a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Number 1 Contenders match. It's the Guns versus the Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks versus Hook and Orange Cassidy, the only non-brother team in the match. So this match, all right. So I said at the start that I didn't have really anything bad to say about the show. This is the one thing that I have. I hate these Fatal 4-Way matches that only have two people in the ring. Can't stand it. You have 4 teams. You should have 4 people in the ring so you can tag your own partner. It's going to break down anyway, so not like it even freaking matters, but it's just so dumb. Because, of course, you got the Guns trying to do that stupid New Age Outlaws spot where they try to pin each other to win, which the New Age Outlaws actually did once.
Which is pretty great.
Yeah.
But, like, and I get that you hate this match. This match type.
I hate this concept. I don't hate this match in particular. This is a fun match.
You hate
I hate this concept.
Right.
Yes.
But I don't know, man. I feel like it's always been built off of the two big tropes. Like you can't see my other hand because it's behind my beautiful house here. But two tropes that keep this match alive. One, the one where the we'll call it the foreign tag team partner, the non tag team partner in the match tagging in someone who's not on his team. I think that the reaction that the other team always gives of the is always it always gets me. And then the inevitability of the match breaking down, the referee losing control, because of course he's only one man. There's 8 very large men in and around the ring.
If you wanted to make sense of this match in the fans' eyes, you would have at least 3 referees, 2 on the outside, 1 in the ring. Or at least there was some. Give us some sense.
Oh, you mean some kind of order?
Yeah, some kind of order. Because you like you said, Mike, like these situations where anybody can tag in anybody, so it's like, it doesn't make it makes it like way too easy. Considering that Colton tried to pin Austin at one point, his own brother, and like I think I saw the New Day try this out one time, and it's like, this can happen. So what the hell?
When the New Day were heels, they did try to do this. The New Age Outlaws, as far as I know, are the only team to actually successfully do it.
I personally feel like they should take this concept a step further. Any future 4-way tag team matches, you basically you can add the extra referees. I think I think Alan's onto something here. I think we add 3 referees. And I think that we partition trampolines in and around the ringside as well, and we turned this basically into slam ball, but slam ball wrestling.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Like, you want to spice up the professional wrestling industry. Why not? Yeah.
Imagine the Young Bucks with trampolines, or the Lucha Brothers with trampolines, for that matter. Like that just
Do the
makes
Lucha
it.
Brothers even need trampolines?
But imagine. Can you
Yeah.
imagine a Code Red or even better, a Destroyer from outside the ring using a trampoline into the ring? Just amazing.
Yes, I could see all of the legs breaking. Just like
That would be
Dante Martin.
Oh gosh, I forgot all about that.
But all right. So yes, this match was pretty much all of that. There's really no way to like break all of this down, but there's two guys in the ring and it breaks down every single time. The referee is just so Rick Knox is seemingly suspended right now because of the Jon Moxley situation at Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So he would have been reffing this match, and he would have did a lot less than the person that is. I think it was Paul Turner.
Yeah, he would have just let it happen. He'd just been like, I don't care anymore.
But yeah, there was just so much going on here. It appeared that Phoenix got hurt again.
Yeah,
he was taken out of.
He says that there's a report going around with him saying that this is a inflammation of an old injury that he's been carrying since before Grand Slam.
Yes. So unfortunate about the international title at that point. But I digress.
It's cursed.
Yeah.
So if Phoenix is out, then this match with Nick Jackson coming Wednesday is not happening.
Or they'll have to put somebody else in it.
Or just postpone it and just have Nick Jackson face off somebody else. But that would be weird. It'd be like, oh, he already earned the title shot, so what are we doing?
Yeah. So this match, of course, there's all these spots going on all over the place. But like towards the end, really, the Young Bucks are doing Young Bucks things. And Hook tries to get the red rum in on Austin, but Nick tags in and hits a 450 while they're in the hold, which looked like it hurt a lot because you just got freaking Hook underneath somebody else taking a 450. So that had to hurt. And then Penta tags in and has Hook in the Gory Bomb. And then also has Orange Cassidy in a package pile driver at the same time. And Nick tags in and hits the diving stomp spot on that move that normally would be reserved for Phoenix. And then they do they throw Penta out of the ring, and then the Bucks hit in stereo super kicks and then the BTE trigger on Hook to get the victory. So the Young Bucks are now the number one contenders to face the winners of the tag title match later in the night. Again. So I assume that they're going to have this match at Full Gear. And then the people who won the tag titles match probably won't face the Young Bucks again for like a decade. Because the last few times they only did that once a year, and now they're doing it like 3 times in 1 year. So so this match was what it was. It was a lot of fun, just a lot of no referees doing their jobs. And yeah.
I think every show, and it's especially true for AEW. I feel like it's almost one of those, we have to have that match that adds that extra little bit of chaos, that little bit of like, this is just insane fun. There's nothing really to be taken 100% serious in this. And I think, if you do want to grade it on like a, hey, how fantastic this was, or how serious was this? I mean, this is probably not gonna be your speed. Which, I mean, for you, Mike, that might be the case. I don't know, but there,
I still love the match for what it
yeah,
was. I just
yeah,
don't like how these matches always go this way, like
yeah.
literally every time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know,
that's fair.
but yeah, Alan, what did you think of this match as a whole?
I mean, other than what I just said previously about like this confusion of the four-way tag team type matches, some of these rules. I mean, not much. I mean, it was like a spot fest all around, and I guess I am slightly disappointed. I guess the best word is to use for the Young Bucks winning. I mean, because we got 3 matches out of FTR and the Young Bucks, and I was kind of ready for like some new thing. Even Orange Hook at this point would be a little more interesting than them facing the Young Bucks, than the FTR facing the Young Bucks again, or Aussie Open facing the Young Bucks. That would have been interesting too. Um, yeah, regarding the Rick Knox situation, yeah, I think that the issue with that the issue in the ring with Moxley was like the sort of straw that broke the camel's back. Was there's probably been a number of issues from before, and I think that man needs either some additional training as a referee, or may have to find him another role in the company. But yeah, this entertaining, nice little filler match in between some really hard hitting action, I guess.
All right, so unfortunately, we have to let Tanner go because he has something to do. So the remainder of the show will just be me and Alan.
Yep.
Tanner,
Nothing out of the ordinary there.
no, this has happened before.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys again for letting me hang out with y'all and talk about the show last night. I can't wait to hear what you guys thought about the rest of it.
All right, thank you, Tanner.
Later, guys.
Have a good one. All right, so we'll press on to the rest of the show, and we move on to the next match, which is probably the second best match of the entire show. I don't know if that's a matter of opinion, but it is Hangman Adam Page going one-on-one with Seattle's own Swerve Strickland. And I say that because it was very clear who the crowd was behind in this match.
The whole theme of that match was that it was the sort of like when wrestling comes to Canada, the roles are reversed sort of feeling. Heyman Adam Page was booed. He was said, "Fuck cowboy, fuck the you cowboy." A lot of derogatory language.
There was a lot of
Swerve owned that crowd. He owned his house. Whose house was not an exaggeration. It really was his house.
Yes.
Obviously, the Prince Nana dance was very over.
Of course.
Yes.
Yes. So this match is just this and the the Danielson match are the two matches that I think I would probably go back and watch multiple times. Because this was such a good match for what it meant. Swerve going into this match, Swerve was saying how he wanted to be in Hangman's spot, and that he felt he deserved to be in Hangman's spot, and that he was going to prove why he deserved it in this match. And I wholeheartedly believe that he did that. Swerve is a bona fide main eventer now. He beat a former world champion. He had this match. He was the babyface throughout this match, mainly because of the crowd. But in that, he turned this match into just an absolute banger. Hangman was fully aware of the situation. He was playing to the crowd every time he would do something, and he would always like look up and see that they were booing him and just react accordingly. And yeah, there's so much great action in this match. But the match starts to break down around the time that Prince Nana tries to interfere. He puts well, he doesn't try to interfere. He does interfere. He puts Swerve's foot on the ropes after the buckshot, and he gets caught red-handed. The ref sees it and is basically telling him to leave. But the ref spends like a lot of time on this, and then for some reason, Hangman gets out of the ring. This was the one thing I was kind of confused about. He gets out of the ring as the ref is telling Nana to leave. And then
Nana's leaving. He is sort of making his way up the ramp, but it's like Hangman's chasing after him as if he's the one in the match.
He's like trying to assure that he leaves.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't actually leave. He just goes up the ramp. But in that time, in doing that, we didn't realize that Nana was no longer wearing his crown. And Swerve used it as a weapon to knock out Hangman. And then in doing that, he hits the house call twice and then hits the JML driver to secure the victory. There was a lot of great back and forth action in this match. A lot of spots that the crowd was behind. Swerve was so over here. And Hangman played the heel accordingly and did such a great job in doing it because of where they were. So I highly recommend this match to anybody. If you haven't seen the show, this is one of those matches you have to see. Even though I enjoyed everything on it as a whole, this is one of those matches that is worth every second.
Yeah, this was a match that was in contention to be the main event. There were people talking about how, if you're gonna have a main event, you should use this match. Now, this was before the 2 out of 3 falls was confirmed to be the main event match, and we'll discuss why that became the main event for obvious reasons. I watched the post WrestleDream press conference that AEW held, where Tony Khan does his usual stick of talk about to the media and having various performers come and answer questions. So he had Swerve on, and Swerve said like, "Hey man, day one, you signed me. You didn't give me like some pity indie tryout like you did with like Eddie Kingston, for example. He didn't use Eddie Kingston in this speech, but he said you didn't give me like sample matches and then sign me a contract. You signed me day one, and like I told you I will deliver. And it took a while, took a good 2 years or so, but we're finally getting the kind of like Swerve as the main eventer, like he said in like this." The build up to this feud, right? He could have, if he was in Adam Page's spot, he may have been the first Black AEW World Champion, and he could still be the way things are going. I don't see this as just. I mean, I understand why people would see, oh, this is just because it's Seattle. No, this is a little. I'm sensing there's a little more than that. He is Seattle. He's from Seattle, but his appeal is way broader than just Seattle. It's like, things will catch on, and eventually, people like the cool bad guy, right? It's like this is this enduring motif in wrestling that dates back to Stone Cold Steve Austin. They like the cool bad guy. And Swerve is the cool bad guy. You know, he's got his own dancing jester, for example, which is a very funny like juxtaposition. You know, you got your goofy Nana dancing around, and then when it's serious, the boss will just stop, and then he stops. He's like, "Yes, boss." And he's like,
Yes.
and then it's like time to get down to work, and he's like, "Okay, boss." And
Yes.
the rest of and he's got these three monstrous goons standing behind him, yo.
And all they do is lose.
Yeah, unfortunately. And that's gonna be rectified soon. I don't know. I mean, can the Mogul Embassy be like refreshed? Like maybe they take out some guys and like put in new guys. I mean, you got this dude named AJ Francis. There's a former linebacker, I think, from the NFL who just got released from the other place, and
He's got a 90-day.
Yeah, he's got a 90-day, but he's got some history with Swerve, and they've got some similar interests. Maybe they'll gel at some point too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like we keep talking about how he hasn't really settled things with Keith Lee, but I'm like at this point, if they rejoin forces, I wouldn't be surprised. If like Keith Lee went back to being a turn and went to be a bad guy, I'm like, whatever. He figured out, hey man, the guy stomped a cinder block through my head. I mean, my mind is clear now. It's like I know where I'm supposed to be. But yeah, great match. I don't know. I mean, there's some elements of truth to like, yeah, Hangman, you kind of getting a little soft, maybe a little complacent. I know you just won these nice titles, but still, it's like you've been too comfortable in your spot. And then, do we see an quote unquote edgier Hangman coming forward? Do we see like a full turn? Do we see the Bucks join him since they're a whole team at this point with the titles?
Yeah,
a lot of interesting potential developments here.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree, and I'm excited to see where this goes because I don't think this feud is over. So going into the next match, it is a Wheeler Yuta going one-on-one with Ricky Starks. So this match, of course, came off of Starks having that strap match with Danielson, and Wheeler Yuta saying that Ricky Starks was complaining that he lost, and talked about how he gets beat up by the BCC every day and he doesn't complain, and he's going to prove why he's better than Ricky Starks because of it. So this match was also pretty good for what it was. I don't think the result was ever in doubt. But you know, they did a lot of great back and forth action before Big Bill finally made his appearance. He distracts Yuta, and Starks gets the upper hand again and hits a power bomb for a 2 count. Starks mocks the BCC with the hammer and anvil elbows. Yuta would fight back and knock Starks off the apron, and then goes for a dive, but Big Bill catches him, and Yuta fights back, and then just without even trying, pushes Big Bill into the ring post. Like, Big Bill is very big. He couldn't fight that off. Anyway, so Big Bill is disposed of for the time being. And then back in the ring, Yuta goes for the seatbelt pin, but he gets a 2 count. Starks recovers and hits a spear, then hits the Rochambeau for the victory. So Jon Moxley, as mentioned, was on commentary for this match as well, and he spent a lot of time talking about how Yuta is still very young and is still learning and is still going to, even though this is his first big singles pay-per-view match, it was not fully expected that he would win. It was only that he would finally prove that he was worth being in this spot, and that there's going to be other times where he will get a big pay-per-view win on his own. Thought this match was fun for what it was. Alan, what do you think about this match?
It was solid. It's a good filler to what was coming up next. The final couple of matches to round out this pay-per-view. The way it went down, I wasn't surprised. They're building Ricky Starks. They've been building him since, I don't know, let's say the first episode of Collision. Ever since he split from Taz and split from Will Hobbs, they had to do something with him. Like, he won the Owen Hart tournament. He had some good matches. He had some good matches with CM Punk. There's just a lot of, like, the sky's the limit for this kid right now. And also for Wheeler, right? So, there's a lot of potential for both these guys. As I said, with the Statlander and the Julia Hart match, like, nobody really lost here. I mean, both these guys are on the upward swing of things. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. So yes, the next match is the aforementioned match that we have discussed, that is competing right now for my match of the year. It's the dream match of Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. So this match was everything that I wanted. Literally everything. It was ground attack, it was striking, it was trading of submission holds, it was one-upsmanship, it was building throughout of just unbelievable wrestling from bell to bell. Everything was just absolutely amazing. There's just so much that happened in this match that I loved, but they spent a lot of time on the ground, trading submissions, knee bars, heel hooks, arm bars, cattle mutilation. Sabre Jr. did that submission where he uses his legs to pull the arms back. And Danielson was in that for a long time and got out of it.
Right. And something Nigel McGuinness said during commentary was that Danielson is the more, like, reactive grappler in this case, and Zach was the kind of aggressor. He's the one, like, doing all the moves, and it seemed like Bryan was more reacting to certain things, and just, he did his signature stuff, but it was more like Danielson was the one trying to counter, whereas Zach was the guy putting on the move and forcing Bryan to, like, counter this and then counter that, and it's just like,
yes,
it was just all over the place.
Yes. So yeah, the pretty much the closing moments of this match were when Bryan went for the cattle mutilation attempt, it was countered into a knee bar, and then they sit up, and technically, like, still with the knee bar in, but they're sitting up and they're looking at each other and just slapping each other multiple times, and they get back on their feet and they trade more strikes, and then they trade arm bars, and then again with back elbows, and then they trade backslide attempts until Sabre turns that into a penalty kick, and then a Michinoku driver, and then he does the leg trapped arm lock, and that I mentioned, and then Bryan gets to the ropes after being in it for a long time. Some more back and forth striking, and then Danielson builds up to hitting the Regal Plex, which is one of my favorite moves ever. Whenever he pulls it out, I just love seeing it every single time. And then hits the Psycho knee for a 2 count, but they get back up, and he quickly hits another Psycho knee for the victory. I can't say enough how much I love this match. I can't say enough how much I want to watch it again.
I think you will. This is not
And-
over.
Yeah. Well, I believe that they will have another one, but I want to watch this match again.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
It's like, it's a technical masterpiece you expected. Zach, he made his point as like, you didn't make me tap out, you didn't submit me, you had to like knock me out to win. And we'll talk about who was the best technical wrestler in the world.
Yes.
So who knows,
And
right?
I think that is why Zack Sabre Jr. did not accept the handshake.
Yeah.
Because he did not prove the point he wanted to be proved, which is who is the best technical wrestler. Because the best technical wrestler should be able to win at being a technical wrestler, not the way that Bryan Danielson did. And I think Bryan Danielson mentioned in his post-match comments that even though he basically had the match that he wanted to have, that he's not satisfied because he didn't win the way he wanted to. And yes, with Zach not accepting the handshake, I'm pretty sure that this match is going to happen again. And I wonder when that will be. Because Bryan has talked about wanting to wrestle in Japan. And he's discussed recently that the G1 is not something he can see himself doing.
Not realistically.
But Wrestle Kingdom, that there is definitely room on Wrestle Kingdom for Bryan Danielson. So I hope that we get to see this match again, and that would be the place to do it if I had my choice. So yes, go out of your way to watch this if you haven't, and if you have, watch it again because it's amazing. The next match is a trios match of Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi, the Golden Lovers. And I guess Jericho confirmed that he
trademarked
Golden Jets.
Yes, because both of them are from Winnipeg. The hockey team there is called the Winnipeg Jets.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So they took on the Callis family members of Sammy Guevara, Konosuke Takeshita, and Will Ospreay.
I just want to note two things. One, Will Ospreay came out with the group, the Don Callis family. Very different contrast to him at Forbidden Door, where he got his own entrance, he's got his own specialized theme music. It's like, it's like to symbolize, yes, he is part of this group. And two, the artwork from artist Mel Coleman is, once again, blew us all out of the water. It is a rendition of The Last Supper with Don Callis playing the role of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and his disciples, Takeshita, Ospreay, and Sammy, all looking like stunned and goofy. And you're like, I'm just wondering at that point, which one's the Judas? Well, apparently Sammy is Judas, but in this case, he's Judasing on Chris Jericho, who's not in the painting.
Of course. Yes. So a lot of symbolism there. This match was, again, kind of the match you expected here. A lot of back and forth, a lot of trading of signature moves, a lot of action breaking down, a lot of ref losing control.
Oh my god, yeah, this was just messy, I think. Very messy.
But it was still very fun and still a great match.
I will say I was surprised at the outcome, because I thought these guys would maybe finally get some comeuppance on the Don Callis family, but
no, it's too early for that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they played off on, Sammy, you did it again, Sammy.
Yeah. So Ibushi. So after there's a lot that happened in this match. There's too much to discuss, but at one point, Ibushi is in the ring by himself against all three members of the Callis family team. And he knocks out Will Ospreay with one strike and then does the exact same thing to Sammy Guevara.
Oh boy.
So him and Takeshita then are facing off, and they have a stare down, and they just trade elbows, and they did a great job on commentary of explaining the history between everybody in this match, including Takeshita with Kenny and Ibushi in DDT, and that was the catalyst for them targeting Ibushi. And yes, they had this face-off one-on-one, and they were trading strikes, hard strikes, elbows to the face. Ospreay intercepts on the Kamigoye attempt by Ibushi, and the Golden Lovers team up and try to hit the Golden Trigger, but that's stopped, and they are sent out. And Ospreay hits a twisting dive on both of them off the top rope, and then Ospreay gets back in the ring, and he is making like he's hurt, and then he holds Aubrey Edwards so she can't see that Guevara uses what he used
Jericho's bat.
Jericho's bat. Well, no, that was Don Callis.
Oh, okay. Was it? Oh, okay.
Yes, that was Don Callis.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. He Aubrey was distracted by.
So what happened was Guevara basically gets knocked out by Jericho.
Right.
And in that moment where Ospreay is holding the ref,
is
where Don Callis runs in the ring
with the bat,
hits Jericho with the bat.
Right.
And they secure the victory off of that shot. Like I said, there's just too much happening in this match to break it all down. Kenny did the hits. Ibushi did the hits. Guevara did a crazy dive like he always does. Standing Spanish fly, all that stuff. A lot of fun. I want to see more of Jericho teaming with Kenny, because that's just cool to see. I don't know if Ibushi's sticking around for now or if he's going to go back to Japan and then come back when he's needed again. But obviously this feud is not over, and Jericho and Kenny will have to continue to recruit people to help them.
Yeah, so just, I guess, my final thoughts on this. There's a lot of spin-off feuds you can do with this. Jericho says he's going to go to DDT and face Takeshita in November. So, hey, why not have Ibushi appear in, jump Takeshita, since Takeshita, flew all the way to Japan and hacked him in his dojo. Will Ospreay versus Ibushi. Yeah, probably that's something to see as well. I mean, rematch
that would happen.
Yeah.
That would probably have to happen here because I don't know if Ibushi is on good terms with New Japan.
That's true. I always forget about that little wrinkle. I mean, man, who else? I mean, Sammy Guevara versus Kenny Omega. Jericho Ospreay 2, I guess. Omega Ospreay 5 or whatever number.
They are making a very big deal about Jericho and Kenny being a team.
Yeah,
and them blatantly saying, "Oh, this is not a tag team that's going for the tag titles," which means that they are going to do that at some point.
Exactly. There's that long 2-minute promo at Collision backstage was to say, "Oh, hey, if you think this is leading to some sort of build towards a tag team title run, no, we're just together for convenience." It was oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. So that's definitely going to happen at some point. So this feud is obvious. Like I said, this feud is not over, and we'll see where this goes from here.
Okay. We're coming up with the final 2 matches. We're gonna wrap up soon as we're winding down. So
that is correct. So we're getting into the tag team title match, AEW tag team title match of the FTR defending against Aussie Open. So this match was building off of them having their match in New Japan. That was, I believe, for the ROH tag team titles at the time.
Yeah, I think so. Wasn't
and,
something that was really that watched at that point, and we didn't really like pay that much attention to it.
So this match that they had in New Japan was very good, and I did watch it. It's just that I think it was overshadowed because it happened the same year as the Briscoes trilogy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this match was more of that. Just these two tag teams absolutely killing it. Unfortunately, it looks like Mark Davis is hurt again because there was a spot off of the Powerplex, I believe it was, where it was broken up with like a dive and his forearm might have shattered.
I saw that. It was just, that was not comfortable to watch.
Yeah, and you could tell like when they went for the Coriolis towards the end of the match,
he couldn't get,
he could not use his arm.
Yeah.
So it appears that he is hurt again, and that Kyle Fletcher is going to be on his own again for however long. Mark Davis is going to be out again, which is unfortunate because this is kind of similar to how Danielson got hurt against Okada. It was just a freak accident on a dive that you definitely didn't see coming. But also, during that exchange, when they went to break it up, it looked like Cash like collided heads with somebody on the breakup or something. But yeah, regardless of like those two little incidents that were concerning, this match absolutely ruled. And yeah, FTR would end up retaining after they hit a spike pile driver on the apron to Davis to knock him out, and then a super shatter machine on Fletcher for the 3 count. Fletcher would go on Twitter and say that he doesn't know what's next for him, and he specifically said him. He did not say us. So I think that implies that Davis is definitely hurt.
Yeah. I mean, it's great ending. The fact that they use a super shatter machine off the top rope goes to show you like how tough these guys were. Very sad to hear that Mark Davis has apparently broken his wrist and may need some time off. Best of luck to Kyle Fletcher. He did show that he can go as a singles guy while Davis had his first hiatus after being signed by AEW. So there's like a rose.
If it's anything
compared to a silver lining in the cloud, right? Yeah.
If it's anything compared to Danielson's injury, and Davis is much younger than Danielson, he might not be out that long. So
anyway, we will look forward, I guess, to FTR versus Young Bucks.
So we're on to the main event, which a lot of people were questioning this being the main event. Obviously, we know why it was the main event.
Yes.
If I had to pick, the Danielson match would have been the main event for me. Because I think you still could have did this second to last.
Like, would you have added the ending, the debut?
Yes.
Like, we'll get to that.
Yes, absolutely.
And then go on to have sex.
And then go on to say like, oh, we saved the best for last, the match you've all been waiting for, because nothing was able to follow it as far as a wrestling on a wrestling standpoint. But this match was a 2 out of 3 falls match. Christian Cage defending the TNT Championship against Darby Allin. So Darby would get the first fall pretty quickly out of a surprise jackknife pin. And then they would just turn it up to 11 as far as the violence was concerned.
It went from like 0.5 or like less than 0 to like 115 or whatever, right?
Yes.
Like,
so there was a spot where Christian moves the steel steps and goes to do a slam off the apron, but it seemed like he hesitated, but it made it look like he was toying with him. But I definitely think he hesitated because he didn't want to do it, but he did it anyway. So first he did a slam off the floor onto the stairs. Then they went back on the apron and he did it again. And this was not on the flat surface of the stairs. It was on the edge.
It was on the steps, basically.
On the steps. Not on the flat surface on the top. On the actual steps.
And you can see Darby's back bounce off the steps, and you're wondering, how is this guy not dead?
Yeah.
At this point.
So they did a count out on the second fall because Darby was not moving. And of course, Darby is just really good. I don't think he was actually hurt. I think he was just selling really well.
I mean, let's hope so, because at the rate this kid is going, he's going to be retired by 35.
But of course, they made it seem like he was dead because he was not moving.
Yeah.
And Christian, they did a stretcher job, but Christian was like, "Fuck that."
Oh and he did a frog splash off the top turnbuckle onto Darby.
Onto Darby, who was, but even before that, while they're getting the stretcher out, Christian decides to strip the ring.
Yeah, he just starts unhooking the ropes, and I'm saying to myself, is this because this is the last match and Christian was asked by the ring crew to take down the ring at this point? Because can you save us a couple of hours, Mr. Cage? Well, yeah, sure, no problem.
So Christian strips the ring and exposes the wood, and then does the splash.
He didn't just expose the wood; he took off the mat almost completely. It's like we were just looking at planks of wood.
Yeah, exposes the wood completely.
Yeah. Completely.
And then he, like you said, does this dive, frog splash off the top rope onto Darby, who's on a stretcher.
Yeah.
And then they just continue the match.
It's like for another 10, 15 minutes or whatever. Can I just add in, we mentioned earlier, Nick Wayne's mom being prominently featured on this show.
Yes.
As earlier, where her son was in the pre-show with Luchasaurus. She was... the camera panned over, there must have been 5-10 times. And I'm like, guys, can you make it not seem that obvious? At one point, Christian walks over because, he's Mr. Suave. And apparently, Mrs. Wayne tried to get his attention and was feeling him up. And then she just throws a drink in his face.
Yes. Pretending to flirt with him and all that. So they continue fighting with the exposed ring. And, they're hitting power bombs on it. They're hitting slams on it, and it's just making me cringe every time because that's gotta hurt.
Let's remember that's not mat anymore. That's just wood. Yeah, it's hard ass wood.
The foam protection is off of it. It's just wood.
Yeah.
So Nick Wayne ends up running out.
Well, let's remember. First
Christian has the belt.
Yeah, he takes the belt now because the referee got speared by him.
Oh yes, because Darby sidestepped the spear.
Yeah, the referee was unconscious.
I believe it was Bryce.
I think it was Remsburg. Yeah.
So Bryce gets speared, and Nick Wayne comes out to prevent Christian from using the belt.
Yeah,
and then he runs in the ring and obviously sets up. Standing next to Darby.
Yeah, exactly. I was calling it. I was like,
Wayne is dead.
3, 2, 1, boom, Nick Wayne. The great betrayal.
So the story behind this, I think the story that they're going to go with behind this is that they have discussed about how Darby and Buddy Wayne had a falling out, and they never made up. Buddy died. And I guess Darby kind of just took it upon himself to take Nick under his wing without making up with his dad. Because Nick was vulnerable. He was young. He's only 18 now. So I feel like this is probably where this story is going. Nick hates Darby for this, and he was taking, quote unquote, taking advantage of him, whatever. Not in, okay. You know what I mean. And, so.
Okay. So this was the first surprise, the Nick Wayne turn.
So, yes. So Nick Wayne helps Christian retain by hitting Darby with the belt. And so they just continue stomping on Darby, and then
I don't know if you mentioned Luchasaurus was also out at one.
Yes, Luchasaurus comes out during this.
Doing this.
And this is where Sting stoically walks to the ring stoically walks. He did not run.
I was like, is this Jeff Hardy like dancing his way to the ring again? I was like,
Well,
this
I mean,
keeps
take time.
happening.
He didn't take time to acknowledge the crowd. He just walked slowly.
It's
so
like, oh man, I got to do this again for the umpteenth time.
So he gets in there and does Sting
Does
things
Sting stuff, and then he
and
gets
tries to
overpowered.
fight off. I mean, he's not 1997 Sting anymore.
Yeah,
That could
exactly.
fight off 20 people. He gets overwhelmed by 3 guys, and they go to do the one-man concerto.
I was like, the amount of like foreshadowing was just too obvious. I was like,
Of
they're gonna
course.
do a concerto. Is this really gonna happen? Yeah.
So then the lights go out, and this
Right.
video appears on the screen that says it's like
Or
a feature presentation, a previously used video by Sami Callihan and in other media.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see a person driving a car to the arena, and then we hear a familiar but not the same. It says, "You think you know him."
Right.
Not
a female voice distorted by, I guess, sound acoustics.
Yes.
And obviously the one change word in order to avoid copyright infringement issues.
Yes.
And then suddenly you hear Alter Bridge, Metalingus by Alter Bridge, and the crowd goes insane.
The familiar sounds of Metalingus by Alter Bridge, Edge, formerly Edge, going by his real name now, Adam Copeland. The rated R superstar. Taz said superstar.
I think he did. I think
he did. Taz said superstar, but the rated R superstar Adam Copeland makes the save, but he makes it seem like he's on Christian's side because Edge and Christian best friends for 20 plus years. Blah blah blah. Everybody knows the story.
Mm-hmm.
But he goes to do the concerto and then swings it at Nick Wayne, then spears Luchasaurus onto a chair, then gives Nick Wayne a spear, and then they all retreat as Edge helps Edge. I'm going to keep calling him Edge, but Adam Copeland helps Darby and Sting and shakes their hands as the show goes off the air. So, Adam Copeland is in AEW. We will use the remainder of the show to talk about this because the match was crazy. We said everything we needed to say about the match.
Yeah.
But it was good for what it was. Adam Copeland is in AEW, and Tony Khan said he is here full time to wrestle.
This is not a part-timer's contract like in the other place where, you wrestle twice a year or 3 times if you're lucky. I will say before that, going back to the vignette, I like how when a car passed through the road, it said rated R, and a couple of fans picked up on that. Darby Allin's the one who said later in the press conference, he's the one who helped Adam Copeland shoot the video. They just happened to do it on the night the Seattle Mariners won the game and the fireworks went off in the arena in the background, which is why you saw the fireworks.
Oh, that was
cool.
It's
not like AEW paid for fireworks.
That just helped the video.
That helped the video.
It just helped the video in my opinion because it made it seem like he was coming to a stadium that was
like lighting up, right?
Yeah.
And I love the fact that they got almost the same fireworks for Mr. Copeland's entrance.
Yes.
It's not a very complex setup, right?
No.
But let's talk. Talk about Mr. Copeland and AEW.
There's so much. He discussed in the press conference, as you mentioned, that he felt he did everything that he needed to in WWE, and that it was time to make a change. It was time to do something different, and he's going to be here to have matches and help as much as he can. And Adam Copeland is in AEW. He's going to be here for a while. He's going to wrestle. He's wrestling on October 10th for the first time on special Tuesday Dynamite. So
against Luchasaurus. That's his first
so he was making his debut imminently. He's going to talk to the fans on the first Dynamite after the show. And Edge, formerly Edge, is in AEW now. So we got a lot of matches to look forward to. And I can't wait to see what he does in AEW.
I
And
mean,
he doesn't need to win any belts.
no,
He just needs to have great matches, just like Bryan Danielson.
yeah. I mean,
So-
the way we've seen AEW in the last month, let's say, starting from the fallout from All In and the unfortunate CM Punk situation,
Yes.
you kind of lost like that big star that was supposed to be the kind of guy being a mentor, being some kind of locker room leader, quote unquote, right? And then when you went from that to them picking up the pieces and doing actually, I think morale improved backstage, as from what I heard. This is pretty big considering Edge spent he pretty much spent his entire wrestling career in the other place, and for him to jump ship at what age 50 now to like actually have a fresh start, it's something pretty incredible. To hear that he's gonna be there as a full-time roster member also helps. I'm not saying I'm not saying that just he's like the magic solution, but it's incredibly helpful in terms of morale. From what we've observed in his history, he's not had like backstage issues with really almost anyone. It's almost like Kane when Kane was still wrestling. Yeah. Nobody had a bad match of Kane. Nobody had a bad word to say about Kane. Everybody got along with Kane, Glenn Jacobs.
Yeah,
almost pretty much the same thing here.
He discussed how there's so many people in AEW that he's never wrestled before, and that includes Jon Moxley, Claudio, Samoa Joe, so many people that were in WWE as recently as he was. And well, not Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley was gone.
Yeah. Let's look at the timeline. Edge retired in 2011. Around that time, I think Claudio, formerly known as Cesaro, was probably just coming up. Moxley was still in FCW. Samoa Joe wasn't even near any WWE. Edge comes back in 2020. Moxley left a year
Moxley's
ago.
gone already.
Moxley's gone already.
Samoa Joe is on commentary.
Yes. And Claudio was floundering around the mid card at that point, still in a tag team.
Yes, but there was also people there while he was there, like Malachi Black,
right,
and like Miro, and all these people that he didn't even get to face there. But the laundry list of people that he can now face that he has never faced is 3 times as long as the people that he could have faced in WWE. And that's, I think, what is most important. For him to help anybody to look good in there and have good matches with them, and for it to matter because of who he is. And you can also get another Edge and Christian tag run out of this and have that Young Bucks match and have that FTR match and have a Lucha Bros match and have any match with any of these tag teams that are absolutely amazing. So there's so much more for him to do, and he does not need to win a single belt to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see, but in terms of just like long-term build, it would be like, okay. So, I mean, he's a multi-time champion. He's a Hall of Famer already. It's like having this title is either doesn't really do anything to advance anything. I mean, at this point, it's like Christian having the TNT title. It's like I don't really see him needing it. That's why I was like, until the whole Nick Wayne turn, I thought Darby was going to reclaim the TNT title because it was Seattle and it's Darby, and AEW doesn't do that kind of thing. So it was just. But I've like in the long-term scheme of things, it sort of makes sense now.
Darby no longer needs the TNT title.
Now that I've looked at it now too, that is also. I think this was the kind of like turning point where we're telling us, okay, I think Darby can move on because he's done all he can to try to get the TNT title back. And
well, he's probably not moving on from this feud. It's probably going to continue.
Well, I think he's going to have a little
Adam Copeland as more backup.
Yeah, and he's gonna have some words with his former protege as well as.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Unfortunately, I don't think Mrs. Wayne. I don't think Mrs. Wayne will be sticking around.
What is Swerve gonna have to say about this?
It's like he's looking at these Seattle kids, like it's like, brothers, hey kids, you're doing it wrong. It's like,
But that is another name. Like, so Adam Copeland said specifically I mean, he didn't mention everybody, but he specifically mentioned Swerve Strickland, Samoa Joe, and I believe
Moxley.
Malachi Black.
Well, did he say that? Okay.
I don't remember. I remember specifically he did say Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland. There was two other names I don't remember, but yeah. So I think we're definitely getting those matches sooner rather than later, and yeah. So the former Edge, Adam Copeland, is now All Elite, and that is all we have for this show as a whole. As I mentioned at the top, I loved everything on this show with little nitpicks on some of it. But and yes, we talked about how like Nick Wayne came out with his ribs taped because Luchasaurus beat the shit out of him to start the show.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could think of is that if this was the plan, obviously, if this was the plan all along, they wanted to make it seem believable that he would turn on Darby, so Luchasaurus had to kick the shit out of him.
Or maybe it just got to the point where he got his shit beat up so much in that pre-show match that he finally realized, you know what, I think I'm better off with the dinosaur and the delusional narcissist than
Maybe
Darby here.
Maybe. I think either narrative is possible. But yes, I highly recommend this show. I highly recommend pretty much every match on it, but specifically the Swerve match and the Danielson match. Those are easily the two best matches, I think, of the night, followed by the tag team title match, FTR and Aussie Open. So that is going to do it for us. Continue to support us by going to our LinkTree for all forms of media to listen to this show, as well as our YouTube, which will be in the description of the podcast. And you can follow us on Twitter at goBigTimePod. And continue to watch the wrestling that you want to watch, not the wrestling that everybody tells you to watch. And we thank you for listening to the show. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.